Hello, beautiful souls. Technology issues this week. It's in the astral. So, third video, as I was saying, I totally agree with, totally bow to what I learned from the Arcturian mother. But I also, as anyone should, question what I see, what I hear, what I channel. Why? Because I don't want to channel for just one thing. I don't want to be just one thing. I don't want to be solidified in just one thing of the mind of the whole, because that's what pushes you into your growth. So I know what I saw, I know what I experienced, and so I know which star system I connected to at that point. And she said, we regret creating human beings. And when any star system is saying that to me, it brings up the story that in these storylines that the L get to a place where they've had enough of everything and they destroy everything, which we're talking about has been in the sauce lately, has been in what people are experiencing. It's one of the things in the storyline. It's in the mind of the collective whole. But these crystal skulls I was talking about that Dakini and different people have used to hold ley lines in the earth are here for the reason being that they're here to preserve whatever is supposed to be preserved. So like people believe in the like end times or bad times, that they're that their star people are going to show up and save them, and we're going to go off to whatever star system we belong to, and that's beautiful. But like I'm not banking on that because those decisions haven't been made, and it's obvious if you go back to years ago of channeling. Most channelers keep changing their story, and I said this 7 years ago. And I'm not saying that higher minds that channel through these humans can't change their storyline or can't add to it or can't say, well, we didn't tell you before so you didn't worry. But to me, I was seeing from the beginning, inconsistencies. And the experience that I had with this council was amazing. It was one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had in my life. But it also wasn't life, here. So I'm not going to diss that. Everything here is an experience, but also everything here is happening in the same moment, at the same time, through the same monad, whatever your monad is. So to me, if anything devastating happens to this earth, you're going to go back to your monad, to your collective mind, to the collective thought form 333 of whatever you've been a part of and related to here. And your energy, if this isn't here, is going to go to some other star or some other system or some other something. Energy doesn't die, it just transforms and changes form. So I thought it was important today that I do videos. I'm staying home sick from house cleaning because I want to get on top of what's going on in my body. Because if it came to a crisis moment, then I need to do like a crisis clean out, of my body. And what I've been learning through the practices of not fear is to not put that off on anyone else. Not to give them my energy, not to give them my glory, just to know that I have to sit in that mudra like Shiva does. Like left hand under the belly button, right hand resting on top of it, which is just this. And it really, for me, because there's a lot of mudras that don't do it for me, but there's, as a dancer and feeling into dance and doing mudra without thinking, which is a language, by the way, sign language, light language, doesn't have a speech to it, but it speaks, and if you can't see it, listen, and feel it, well, then you're deaf. That's your problem. You can't translate. If you can't translate a universal language from the heart, then you can only translate what's been forced upon you and what's stuck in your lineage or in your ley lines of your earth, which is use it all for your benefit. And I've shared a lot about my experience with my twin flame and twin flaming, and how I disagree with other people's belief systems around twin flaming. Because more like R.J. Spina, I totally believe that you can have a dark and a light twin, and basically in the Luciferian thought system, that's exactly what it is and only what it is, because they're here to burn down the other. And but the point is to purify each other, not so that you stay a certain character, but so that you get into your heart space and reach your infinite potential. And until the other feels they can no longer or should no longer trigger you and they're respecting you, then they're respecting their self. When the other no longer gets triggered or sick and bothered, they're respecting the self. And that's when the oneness comes to each other, to the fractal. And I'm not talking about a relationship or getting married or happily ever after. That's not exactly how yin yang always works, even when it comes to wholeness. Because the wholeness is found within the individual self, the soul. So if at incarnation my soul split into these two fractals, which if you think of a mandala and there's all these things coming off, then we all have higher selves and higher fractals and flames of twins and twins of flames. But reading about Thoth, like when I was studying the Emerald Tablets for years ago, probably started in 2015. Used to listen to them every night going to sleep, like around 2017. Maybe 16, the winter before that. Which time doesn't really matter. But there were things I was seeing in there that didn't go along with other teachings, didn't go along with what I was channeling and feeling. So that's why I said I added Ma'ia's channeling. Because she channels for everything. And that's how I see it ought to be. That's to me what a real channel is. A real channel is. Why? Because that's the real me. Has nothing to do with the real you. It has to do with the real me. And my relation to Thoth and that monad, and that he saw singular flames, some of them almost completely dying out, and he wanted to help these flames. And so in his mind, in his teachings over time, he has consistently put into the ley lines of Earth and us, our storylines, our biology, things that would ignite these flames and put them together. And everybody knows that watches my videos that, or has read my channelings, which I pretty much have made private, because I've had so much people trying to destroy myself and rip me down and report me and all kinds of things. So I don't openly do that anymore. But I will start trying to read them and channel them if and when I have time, because like I say here, I don't have time to be private and whole unless people aren't here, so, and that's pretty much how I've been my whole life. Like, even with the people I know the most, I've never fully opened up to them. Like, this is my space and place where I open up probably the most, and still don't completely, because 9/11, that's who I am. It's what I am and how I need to operate in the now as me. And that's not fear. Like, caution isn't fear. It's like, do you run every red light because you're afraid of it? Like, no. You take precautionary measures are not fear. When you're dealing with someone who's evil, precautionary measures are not fear. When you're dealing with wild animals and human beings that act like wild animals, precautionary measures are not fear. But for me, the things in my life, until I've said they're gone from my face, in my monad, cast out and or absorbed, either or. And the scenery has changed through quantum leaping and jumping, or like I talked to about Tufti the Priestess, and you know, the not putting yourself into realities that aren't pleasant to you, or if you find a reality that isn't pleasant to you, make it pleasant, you know. And my way of doing that is channeling in poetry. And if things don't move out of my way and don't choose to move out of my way, if I don't fear, they will be moved out of my way. And this is why I love this guy. And I was channeling, and then I told people, like, there was something in my room one night, and it threw that, it's heavy, threw that in my lamp off toward my bed, toward me, you know, while I was in a resting state, wasn't fully asleep. And those two things can't happen. They can't knock each other over. My lamp is little. Can't get it into the picture, but it's little, and it's sitting on this nightstand right next to me. And it doesn't move. Like, I'd have to tug it or pull it, or something else would have to. And so, you know, like, stuff like this happens all the time, but I've had to learn not to fear it. And every time I meet a fear, there's another thing. And meeting that fear makes me more powerful. And so, as you meet those fears head on, the third eye clears and opens more and more, because things and people and entities that cloud this no longer have the power to do it. And it's like, well, if you let those people in your life, you're letting them. No, I've tried that my whole life, not letting people in. And I just meet the boss somewhere else and somebody else. So until I boss up, as I've said before, and deal with those things head on within me and with the out until they stop appearing before me, I'm not done with them. So I'm not for, in any way, shape, or form, star systems, star words, star whatevers that divide us. Like, not into that. I'm not into the division or anything that takes power away from the carbon man, the atom, the dumbed down version, and we're better, and we can channel, and we can do this. And you know what? I don't like any of those humans either. I have an ego, and I use my ego to write my poetry. I am the court jester of the stars, and I make fun of everybody. I make fun of myself, because that was what I had to learn through great suffering, that you've got to find humor in everything, or you're not going to find humor in anything, because life hasn't been funny and easy for me. It's also been a major blessing. So I can't take my path like you can't take your, like you take your path. I can't tell you how to take your path. I can't tell you that if you bow to your heart, you're just going to want to live in your heart space. And that's great. But for me, when my mind connected, I knew I had a warrior's heart, and then I knew I had to go and face things head on, and I knew I had a calling, and I had to walk in it. And it unfolds as the lamp on the path shines. It doesn't be like, oh, Sheila, do this next, Sheila, do that. Though sometimes it clearly does, because when you pay attention to you, everything is spirit. Everything is God. Everything is God within you, God without. And then those things don't appear scary and don't appear in a form to destroy you. When you know that you are all that it's not something you have to look at as destructive, because then you give it power and then you get sick. So, or you get fear, which causes sick, which causes, disorder and disorganization. And yes, there has to be law. There is natural law. There is a law, supernatural law of the stars, and we do have the ability to channel those things. But when we as humans start separating into all these different, I'm this, I'm that, and you're not all that, then you're not all that anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? So When you come to a place in your expansion of your aura where you realize you are all that, participating in all that, but you're being a singular thing here, a singularity. And singularity can be used across the board to explain many other thoughts. You know, you can apply that to many other thoughts and belief systems. So you can apply that to many thoughts and belief systems, but you are that. So when you want to hook into something and channel, you rest in being one with that. The fact that you can be one with everything. And for me, I'm always looking for a higher order, above natural order here, because that's my nature. And the law for me, the law of bowing to the soul, of loving the human being, of cutting all these things off on the outside that try to destroy it, is me battling for my own soul. That's it. And if that fits into a category, into a group, into a clan, into a belief system, fine. But all in all, what I'm responsible for, and at the end of the day, when the body is gone, the soul, I bow, I judge my own soul as in death. I have to stand before God, and the ego has to perish and be totally gone. And when my heart is weighed, that's what's going to decide how I am next. Am I eaten and reincarnated and, pooped back out into the existence of whatever? Or is it the other way around, where it's a privilege to be here in a body expressing that? And there's two polar opposite beliefs on this. So when there's polar opposite beliefs, there's yin yang. And you're going to find your center, and the center is both. You came here to express now your highest form of yourself in this storyline here, being this as this, so don't lose sight of that. It's fun to dress up as this, it's fun to be that, but why do you want to turn your body into something other than the highest potential you came here to be? Which I always say about people when they question my sexuality. Like, no. Keep that subject and those titles and those fractures to yourself. You're you. You're an eternal soul. Bow to that. How you express that here is your own choice. And you're going to meet people who differ, and people who don't like, and people who threaten, and people who aren't awake. Because if anyone is awake to their highest potential in this form as themselves, they're going to treat it the best they can. They're going to love it the best they can. They're not going to chop it up and drug it and scar tissue it because you don't need to, because there's spiritual ways you can transform into an other, which if you're interested in that, you should study alchemy, and then you won't hurt yourself. You'll become a higher potential. But we can change into any forms and be any things, and you learn that in shamanism. But you came here to be in this and to supersede the lower self, the atom, the carbon man that everybody thinks is bad because their aura is a little bit more sparky than yours and kind of does this. And there's beyond that. There's always more than that. So I cannot stand people who boast to put the other down. Now, I mock people in poetry, but I mock in a way that, wake up. Who are you to say that's not better? And who are you to say you have the right to destroy me? Because you're fearful, because you lack, because that's a system of lack, because I've had to live under that system of lack and torment my whole life. And I don't like it. Don't pigeonhole me. Don't tell me what I should have as a body. Don't dumb down what it is to be a mom, what it is to be a man, what it is to be a dad, what it is to be a human being. Don't dumb it down. Be the wholeness of your soul. And you aren't going to be happy with the carbon-based man because it's not the fullness of your potential until you bow to that and it ignites. Now, I know plenty of people that are out there like, I pray to this God and that demon and that devil, and they gave me an ability, and I'm no longer the carbon man. No, you're using that thing's energy so you can say you're better than somebody else because you lack. So you're still the carbon man. Sorry. That's my take on it. And my take as being that. And being 100% completely okay with being that. Now, if spiritually I want to express beyond that, why am I doing these tricks? Why am I doing these things? Why do I need to prove something to you with what I'm doing? I don't. I simply share because with my alchemy, I'm vlogging, that the potential is endless. The potential quantum field is endless. It depends how you look at it. And how this is a vehicle, you serve it because you're in it. So, can I speak glossolalia? Yeah. Was I baptized in the Holy Spirit? Yeah, at church, in the water, and by fire, and by myself, bowing to my soul, and having that come in, which that was coming in before. When I was channeling, I just didn't know how to identify with it, because I wasn't caught up in the whole new spiritual age, blah, blah, blue, I'm this, that, and the other, and you've got to find your clan, or you're not, blah, blah, blue. Sorry, naked we come, naked we go. Without this shell. Maybe we go into another shell. That's another story for an alchemist. But, you know, from dust you come, to dust you return, until you're no longer the carbon man. And that is facing fear, facing death, and facing lack. And if you have to put that on me, you've proven to me beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're weaker than me. And or you're defective, or you hate yourself, or you lack. Now, I've talked about how I've got a twin flame, partner. I've had this person that, purposely burned me down. I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to absorb you. I'm going to blah, 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 blah. I'm like the next great evil persona on the earth. Or lack. And this person's like, oh, this is my star sign. And I'm like, no, that's your Western star sign. In the East, you're like the highest level. So don't give me that BS. In the attainment of my draconic head, that is its highest level. Same thing. So to me, they're denying who they are and handing over their life to me. And when I understood all this through astrology, through channeling, through losing my fear, through having to face that draconic hatefulness and lack head on, and I'm not talking about the star system, I'm talking about the dumbed down system of people's minds here and their foolishness of having to prove themselves better. If you have to prove yourself better, then you lack. And I struggle with that still, right? But the way I heal it now is just bowing to my soul, and then those things around me clear out. Why? Because this soul is bright. And people have hated this soul since the day I incarnated on this earth, and from the mother upward have tried to destroy me. Not just, oh, my mommy didn't like me, or my daddy, or somebody in the family, or my friends, or someone betrayed me. Or, I had a lover once and I lost it and now I can't forget. I don't care. Like, whatever you're suffering, bow to your soul, because if you want an Atman guru, it's in there. And it doesn't have to do with your carbon-based body, though that carbon-based body then becomes the servant of the living God and the chi and the energy and light force that's in it. So like this week, I went off on somebody on a page, which I rarely do, but they were like, oh, those atoms, 666 carbon-based men, and blah, 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 and we're better, and we're going to survive. And it's just like, you just put yourself down. You just put yourself beneath the carbon man that you think is dust. So basically, you just turned yourself into dust. And to me, this is what all my enemies here are doing and showing to me. And whether or not they get it isn't my problem. My space is to bow to my own soul and become my highest potential and love myself. Because as I love myself and clear bitterness, frustration, hate, anger, disease, believing that other people can curse me or give me diseases, by the way, which I always send back, to their highest. Where did that come from? Where did that lie come from? I send it back to the lie. And if they identify with that lie, and that lie of theirs takes them down, that's their problem, not mine. It's like, oh, I send it back in love. Well, you can say love and light all you want, but how is a curse love and light? If you're sending that back, or you're dragging it through your aura like I do, and that's why sometimes I get sick, because I take on other people's stuff naturally. We do that. in our auric field naturally until we don't do it no more, or we do it as a choice to heal others because we feel called to do that. Until we stop doing that, we're going to be affected by it. We're around people all the time that have illness and disease until we become the Mother Teresa and, can go headlong into whatever. If we're called to be that, we aren't all called to be that, then that's what we be and that's what we do, and that's how we bow to our own soul and God and Godhead, heart and soul connected. You don't just do things to do and serve and serve this church, that church, and this belief system and that. That's not going to protect you when you go out and deal with demonic and disease and all that. The only thing that's going to protect you is your soul and your aura and your chi. So I'm sharing today intensely because my throat chakra got blocked and I got sick and things from my past turned up, and my throat chakra was really glowing open, really trying to force through this stuff. So it doesn't scare me that I got sick. I needed to take better care of myself and I needed to rest more. And that's what coming down with something forces you to do. To clear the plate, to push away everyone and say, hey, I don't want to express with you right now. I just want to bow to my soul and heal. And if I let other people in and they show me that they're still being that BS, then I have to shut them out and heal. And there's nothing wrong with that. Not that I don't want to go out, and find people to be with and soulmates and expressions of my higher self and all that. But also I find that in nature, and there's no such thing as being alone. Never. Or bored. Never. Those are problems that come from within, that you can cleanse out by bowing to the soul or doing what you love. That's why I always tell people, do what you love and bow to your soul and talk to it like it's a living being, because it is how you transform the carbon-based man, and the energy pours out of your own soul and that flame ignites. That's why the carbon, the lead, transforms into gold, into light, because you are becoming that. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.